here.
Yes, it is. Here too.
I can't go outside at all.
I know. Horrible.
I can if I don't want to breathe.
Well, good Shabbos, everyone. We are live, so I'm going to go ahead and mute as we start our services today and this evening. So I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. So let's wave to each other and wish each other a good Shabbos before we mute everyone, and then we'll mute at the end.
Shalom, so everybody.
Good Shabbos.
Nice to see everybody.
So it's not a power move here to mute everyone. It's just the best way to make sure that we don't get the feedback. So we're all muted. And so want to first off just welcome you. This is a very important Shabbos. What's important about it is this is the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. Can you believe it? 1 week from now, we will all be coming together, whether it's in person, whether it's online, whether it's streaming, however we're going to do it, or however you're going to do it. Pretty amazing. We made it through another year. What a year with its ups and downs. Who would have thought we would have been where we are today? I don't know if you guys are aware, but it has been 6 months to date. We closed our shul on at least for participation in live services on March 13th. It is now September 11th. Which is a full 6 months that we have been doing this. And on some level, it feels like just yesterday. On others, it feels like decades. So depending on where we are. But tonight, we come together with a mentality and with a thought process of unity, of coming together, of looking forward to the year that is to come. So we start our service with Shalom Aleichem. We have greeted each other. If you have a Siddur, it is on page 16. If not, Shalom Aleichem can be found in any major Siddur that you may be using. Shalom Aleichem.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet. Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shikoach to you, Cantor. As we start our service, we now turn to L'chadodi, the last stanza. We rise if we are able and turn to the door. But I wanted to say one thing. You don't need to rise now. The last stanza. You still have time to sit. Sorry. Don't want to. It's called Jewish calisthenics. We get a little bit in shape. But I wanted to just say one thing. There is one of my favorite Hasidic teachings, Hamelech Besadeh, the king is in the field. It is time for us now. The king is in the field, and in the king is always in Hasidic stories, meaning God. God is in the field. God is preparing to meet us right now. This is the time before Rosh Hashanah and before Yom Kippur. God has made God's self available to us in a unique and different way. It is only up to us to take that step forward. And that's what we ought to be doing over the course of the next week, is stepping forward and meeting God, and stepping forward and reaching out to our fellows and trying to connect in new and different ways. Now is the time. Now is the time to get out of our comfort zone. Last week, I suggested writing some letters to people. Hopefully you had a chance to do that. But now is the time to get out of our own way and make connections possible, make something different in our lives so that we can have a new experience. Nothing new happens unless we try something different. So we continue with Lecha Dodi, which can be found on page 38.
Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Hishmi'anu el ha'meuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem tiferet v'litila, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha uv'sachala, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela.
We turn now to Ma'ariv HaRavim, Lord of night and day. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, whose words bring on the dusk of evening.
El Chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chaleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Arahavim. Amen.
With everlasting love, you have loved the house of Israel, teaching us your Torah, its mitzvot, laws, and judgments.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, ukimu mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, v'shachveinu uvekumenu, nasiach belukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meotecha ve'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'shachbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'heinenecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha.
we continue silently for the second paragraph of the Shema. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and bid them to make fringes in the corner of their garments throughout their generations, putting upon the fringes of each corner a thread of blue. When you look upon the fringes, you will be reminded of all the commandments of the Lord and obey them. You will not be led astray by the inclinations of your heart or by the attractions of your eyes. Thus you will be reminded to fulfill all my commandments and be consecrated to your God. I'm the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God."
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Occasionally, I will get some phone calls from a student or a master's student doing some kind of research about the Jewish faith and comparative religion or something like that. And they ask questions that are so broad, it's very hard. And certainly they're looking for maybe a couple sentences. And as many of you know, when you ask me for one sentence answer, it's impossible for me to do that. It will be paragraphs and paragraphs. And so he asked, what are some of the central themes in Jewish life? And I said, me personally or for the Jewish people? I couldn't just answer the question for him. And what I found was that the central piece, the central thing that we can all agree on is the unity of God. The statement that we say several times a day, that we say at least twice, once in the morning and once when we lie down, the Shema, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen up, Israel. Listen up, Jews. Listen up, people who are part of this community. God is God and God is one. Meaning that we should be like God and try and find ways that unify us, that bring us together. Just as God is a unit, so too we should be a unit, moving together, moving in unison. And the other thing that I forgot, you know how it is when you get off the phone or when you stop talking, you realize that maybe I should have said something else. There's always that one thing I wish I would have said. And I wish I would have said this next piece, the importance of Shabbat. Shabbat is something so central to the Jewish people. It is truly amazing that over the millennia, Shabbat has been the central holiday for the Jewish people. More important than any other holiday, less maybe Yom Kippur, but we observe Shabbos and all its rules regardless of what is going on. It is always the holiday that we always will observe. And may we find time this Shabbat to truly follow through with the beautiful words in the prayer on page 64 with Vishamru, that we will have a moment in which we can stop from our mental work, stop from our physical work, and truly rest. We continue with Vishamru. Please rise if you are able.
All right, everybody take a deep breath. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. Shabbat vayinafash. Shabbat vayinafash. Beshamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat. La'asod et ha-Shabbat L'dorotam berit olam.
We now turn our attention to the Ma'ariv Amida for the Sabbath as we take a moment for personal prayers, for petition, for meditation, for just a moment in which to collect our thoughts. If you're in our prayer book, the Shemona Esrei or the Ma'ariv Amida can be found on page 68.
Anananananana Adonai. Anananananana Satai Tivta. Ananananana Ufi Agid Tehilatecha.
We thankfully acknowledge you, our God and God of our ancestors, Lord of eternity. You are the source of our strength, even as you have been Israel's protecting shield in every generation. We thank you and proclaim your praise for our lives, which are in your hand, for our souls, which are in your care, for your miracles, which are daily with us, and for your wondrous kindness at all times, morning, noon, and night. Source of all goodness, your mercies never fail. Source of compassion, your kindness never ceases. You are our hope. Grant abundance and lasting peace to your people Israel and all humankind and to all who dwell on the earth. For you are the supreme sovereign of all peace. May it please you to bless your people Israel in every season and every hour with your peace. Praised are you, our Lord, bestower of peace upon your people Israel.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'to beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol et u'b'chol sha'a b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We now turn to Misha Berach. We offer prayers for those who are in need of healing spiritually, mentally, or physically. And we have started a custom of please putting the names in the chat so that we can see who is in need of healing as a community and come together in prayer.
Misha Berach Avotenu Abraham Yitzhak ve'Yaakov. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech v'rapeh et ha'olim. Mishaberach Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech v'rapeh et ha'olim. El narafan Allah, El narafan Allah, El narafan Allah, El narafan Allah. Mishavera Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech v'rapeh et ha'olim.
May God send a speedy recovery, a refuah to nefesh, a refuah to guf, for those in need of full and complete recovery for everyone, and the names that we have offered this evening, and we all say amen. Yasher koach to you, Cantor. Just a few words of Torah before we conclude our service for the evening. And one of the things that we are, as we enter into the end of the year, this is a double portion, and a double portion that we're looking at. So I'd like to look a little bit at Vayelech. Many of us understand the phrase to keep it moving. It's so important. It is so important that we always keep it moving, that we can't really look back. You know, we've often heard that there's a reason why the rear view mirror is much smaller than the front windshield of a car, is because it's more important that we keep looking forward and keep moving, and we not look back. This idea of keeping it moving, though, is oftentimes not really what we do. Maybe some of you have a story in your own home, in your own families, of if you were an infant, or maybe you had an infant that maybe crawled into a space that was unknown to anyone in the house, and the kid just disappeared or just fell asleep as they were crawling. Many of us know these stories, that a kid just keeps moving and keeps going and keeps going. And somewhere along the line, we stop that. Somewhere along the line, and I don't know if it's in our teenage years and in our 20s, you come home from a long day and we make statements like, I need a rest, I need a moment, I need to stop, I need to pause, which is fine, but we stop moving. We at times believe that there is really a moment in which I should just pause at the end of the day and relax because I put in my 8 hours at work, and that I should just pause. In fact, it is so rooted in our understanding, at least in Western society, that many of us retire at a certain age and look at the moment as a time in which we can just stop and do whatever we want to do. But many of us know the importance of, when we stop spiritually as well. And the most important part of our lives is to keep moving spiritually, to keep moving physically, if we are to live long, and not just in age, but live long and live a fulfilled life. We learn that in this week's Torah portion. Moses, who is 120 years old, 120 years old. Ad mea ve'esrim, may we all live to 120 years old. It talks that Moses, as we know, is giving his final commands to the next generation, the final speech. And what it says is an important word. Vayelech Moshe ve'yadaber ha'adavarim ha'ela el kol Yisrael. That Moses literally gets up and walks out to the people. He keeps it moving. He continues to move at 120 years old. You would think, you would believe, you would consider that the easiest thing to do would be from your bedside, just dictate what you want people to hear. Perhaps even if he was living in this time, send an email. But why should he get up and literally walk out to the people and explain to them? And if you look at the next verse, it's very, very great. Vayomer Elohim ben mea ve'esrim shana. I am 120 years old and I can no longer be active. I can no longer be active. He knows that he is ending his life, but he says it and he does it anyways. I'm saying I can no longer be active, but I'm getting up and I'm continuing to move forward. I'm continuing at an advanced age to say that this is not the time for me to slow down. This is not the time for me to pause and stop. This is the time for me to continue moving forward spiritually, physically, and mentally. This doesn't mean that we all have to get up and go for a jog right now. That's not at all what this is saying. What this is saying is that we should all continue to believe and know the importance of growing and changing and adding to life, no matter what our age. Moses was 120 years old, and to his dying day, this is apparently, according to our tradition, the day of his death, up to the day of his death, he was trying to add to the stream of life. May we find the strength in ourselves to continue to do that and not fall into the great trap of this is the time for me to rest. This is the time for each and every one of us as we move into this holiday season to just push a little further, to become one little grain of sand better at this time. I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. We continue with Aleinu, if you can rise, on page 118.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gerula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei melech malchei hamelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser haaretz u'moshe v'ikaro b'shamayim imhal u'shchinatu zo begavei meromim Hu Eloheinu ein od Emet Malkeinu Efes Zulato Kakatu Betorato Veyadata Hayom Vahashevota Elevavecha Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim Bashamayim Imhal Ve'al haaretz mitachat einod.
Your sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written in your Torah, the Lord shall reign forever and ever. And it has been foretold, the Lord shall be sovereign over all the earth. On that day the Lord shall be one, and shall be acclaimed as one.
Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai imloch leolam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
So we offer prayers. Today is 9/11, and before the mourners Kaddish, I will ask that we all rise in memory of that terrible and tragic day. Many of us do remember where we were at that moment. Creator of all, source and shelter, grant it perfect rest under your tabernacle of peace to those who died in the 9/11 attacks on the United States. Remember the works of their hands, the messages of their hearts. Grant their families peace and comfort for your name's sake. For the sake of those who perished, God, we ask you to bring an end to violence and terror speedily in our days. May their memories be sanctified with joy and love. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life and living blessing in our midst. And may the memories which we cherish and lovingly now recall inspire us to live, that we too may bequeath a heritage of precious memories to those whom we shall leave behind. Contribute to our departed. May we enrich the lives that we touch. May we share and preserve the faith. And I ask that we all rise at this moment as we sanctify God's name in the hallowed words, the Kaddish. This week's Yortzeit, Helen Kelman, aunt of Carol Bloom, Shmuel Osovsky, father of Doran Osovsky, Stuart Spieber, father of Rochelle Rusikoff, William Kugler, father of Heidi Barnholtz, Morris Lewenda, grandfather of Stephen Lewenda, Aaron Oppenheim, father of Denise Youngwood, Sarah Gaon, mother of Esther Hodis, Manuel Hamus, father-in-law of Eileen Hamus, Stephen Coman, brother of Jeffrey Coman, Hope Ann Wallstatter, sister of Judy Block, Alejandra Alges, grandfather of Patty Lewenda, Joyce Barrick, mother of Stephanie Gutman, Rosalie Goldberg Zwick, mother of Natalie Freiberger, David Lieberman, father of Ira Lieberman. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 124. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, ve'amad divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, bagala v'izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah v'rach le'olam u'me'omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha b'rechu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'ama v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom bin Ramav, huya asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May God, who offers peace and harmony in the heights, grant us peace and harmony for us, for all Israel and all humankind, and let us all say, amen. Just a few brief announcements. We have services, several services tomorrow, 10 a.m. on Facebook. Please join us there. Also at 7 o'clock, we're having Slichot in this very chat room. Please join us, and then we will follow that with a Havdalah service. So lots of great opportunities to come together, do a little learning, do a little prayer. Also, of course, Rosh Hashanah is coming. Please be on the lookout for information on how to live stream us in the coming days. Don't worry, we'll send an instruction, and there will be it will be as easy as pie. I don't know why pie is easy, but it will be easy. And yeah, Leah just says it's easy to eat, which it is. So in any event, be on the lookout. Please check your emails and obviously call our office if you have any questions. Most importantly, I want to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, a Yasher Koach to you, Cantor, for leading us this evening, and a hearty Yasher Koach to each and every one of you for joining us this evening. What great energy and what a wonderful way to enter into this week before the high holidays. Remember that Hamelech Besadeh, that God is close to us now. God is close to us always, but this is the time for us to truly take one step towards God. We will conclude our service with Kiddush, and again, if you can rise, please rise. It is on page 90 if you would like to follow along. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. Shabbat kodsho v'yavav ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabat kodshecha v'ahava uratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat. L'chaim, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Let me just unmute us all so that we can wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom,
Good seeing everybody. Have a great weekend.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. God bless you all. Have a great week.
Great job, Rabbi. Great job, Cancer Dad. Hi, Mom. Thanks for the challah.
Good job, everyone.